6:30, call the FinCom meeting to order. I will do a roll call to start off to see who's on and who is not. So let's start with Aaron. Here. Awesome. Amy? Steve?
Here.
Rick?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Walter? I see you there.
Here. My space party.
Bonnie?
Here.
Sonia, are you on?
Yep.
Awesome. I know Mike and Paula said they could not make it. So let me roll back up. Amy, did you join? Take that as a no. All right. So, Mike, how do you want to start the evening?
All right. The first thing we have, if we could do the reserve fund transfer.
Okay.
And this is a request from the animal control officer. Seeing as we did not have a meeting in May, so he was not able to amend his capital plan and put this in. He needs this AC. Obviously, you felt the heat today. It's starting to get hot, and he cannot keep animals in that animal shelter if it gets too hot. So he's looking for a reserve fund transfer of $9,800 to put AC in the building.
So, not to be written as the guy who hates animals. So let me start off by setting the table that way. So, is there a law that states that if you're going to have an animal shelter, it needs to be air conditioned?
Yeah, it would be inhumane for the animals in that building. Once it gets hot, it'll be too hot for them in there.
But we don't require someone who's adopting an animal to have air conditioning, do we?
I don't know how their house is set up, but I know that building, it does get unbearably hot in there.
So I guess my second question, and I haven't been in the building, so my questions could be from a point of ignorance, because I don't know how divided the rooms are or whatnot, or whether it's just one big room. So ceiling fans and a wall air conditioner would be way cheaper.
It's separate. He needs AC for the shelter itself and also in his office.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, who's talking?
Rick.
Rick.
Yeah, just from a professional perspective, that price for the system is very competitive, and that product actually heats, cools, and dehumidifies as well. The only thing I would not question, but I didn't see on the proposal was a product warranty. I noticed that they gave a labor warranty, but I did not see a product warranty. So that's my only thing I would bring up, but I know the product well. It'll serve that need, and again, the price is very competitive. All I want to add.
Okay.
Bill?
Yes.
Hey, Steve. Mike, I just curious, is there an air conditioning unit in there currently? It appears brand new. And how were we getting by in the past without it?
Steve, he had window AC units in there before. And with the new windows that were put into, the building last year through capital, he can't put a window AC unit back in that building.
Okay. And then did we get the required 3 quotes?
Yes.
If we do approve this, what will be the impact to the animal control budget going forward?
It'll probably be better than it was when he had the window. I know Rick could probably talk on that better than I, but, it'll be more efficient than the window AC units that he had previously.
Yeah, it'll probably, without boring everyone with SEER ratings and HSPF ratings, but it's probably safe to say more than double the efficiency value. And obviously you would save on electricity costs. And is that heated by, what's that heated by, that building?
Natural gas.
Natural gas, okay, so it'd be a wash, but you could use as a primary heater in the shoulder months.
Yeah.
And cut down on your natural gas consumption.
So is this a known expense when we did the windows?
Say that again, Steve.
Was this a known expense after the windows were put in?
He did not anticipate that, but then once the windows went in, he realized he could not put his AC back in the window. It would damage the windows.
So again, I go back to, a hole in the wall and, what would be a window unit or two would again be way cheaper. Just saying, and I don't say it to be cruel to the animals. I don't say it to, nickel and dime the animal control, department. But we had a lot of questions go out in regard to feeding residents of this town. And I just found that, roughly $10,000 for animals to just almost be a slap in the face. That's how I took it. But anyways, so if no one else has any questions or any more commentary, I'll move to a motion.
Just one, Mr. Chairman. Mike, what's the balance in the reserve fund?
You haven't used any of the reserve fund yet.
Okay, okay.
I have one thing to say,
Yeah,
Chairman. So, what, $9,800, what would the cost to have someone come out, cut a hole in the wall, make sure it's properly cut, and show it up correctly as a hole in the wall should be 2 holes in the wall, right, or 1, whatever it is. What's the cost of that plus the new unit? How much do you get with $9,800 for that? How much more is $9,800 than that? I don't know.
I'm thinking you're at least half.
And which one lasts longer? The $900 unit or a whole? I don't know.
I don't know either. I can't answer that one.
Oh, these units are designed to last, 15 years with the proper maintenance, and the maintenance is pretty much do it yourself. It's the filter, cleaning the filter, and if the installation is done right with the refrigerant lines and so forth, you should have 15 years of good quality product.
Don't these have to be serviced yearly?
No, not these split ductless systems. The filters need to be cleaned. In this
Right.
case, they would need to be cleaned probably quite frequently, but there are 3 filters, and they can be cleaned similar to like a wall unit or a window unit.
And Mike, if this didn't get approved, what would happen to the animals? Would they have to be sent elsewhere?
We would have to send them elsewhere if someone would take them. He couldn't keep them there.
All right, any other commentary?
Yeah, I agree, but an AC unit of any kind because the animals are in the shelters and they need to have some air to make them feel comfortable because without an AC, the animals would get sick or die. So it is time that we need to put an AC in the animal shelter, right, everybody?
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
So again, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Thanks, Aaron.
Yes,
make a motion to approve transfer of, Mike, give me the exact amount, I'm sorry, $9,800
You're right.
from the reserve fund for air conditioning at the animal control building.
And I wish we could, we had a little bit more flexibility. We could use that money elsewhere, but I think right now I would second that.
so that's a motion by Aaron, a second by Steve.
Yes.
All righty. All those in favor? Aaron?
Yes, aye.
I'm gonna check if Amy has come on.
I'm here.
Have you heard the discussion?
I have.
Okay, then your vote.
I'm gonna vote nay, thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Oh, yay.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a no. So the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, if we could just go over the timeline, town meeting. Hold on. All right, there we go. Town meeting timeline, town meeting right now is tentatively scheduled for June 27th.
Yep.
So the last day to post the ATM warrant with recommendations would be June 19th. So I was thinking you may want to think about having like budget. Yeah,
Okay.
and I know next week, the schools, police, fire will be in attendance, and Southeastern Regional on the 8th of June said they could be in attendance.
And if our public hearing is on the 15th, when do you need our report? Would it be that day, before that day?
Well, we would have to post the warrant with recommendations on the 19th.
Okay. So our report that I believe falls to Steve has to be
That is correct. That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Has to be, started, I guess, soon, so we can all take a look at it, but, okay.
Yeah, you'll have you'll have a draft for the 6-1 meeting.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right. And I'd just like to go over the budget.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
can I ask one question? I'm sorry, Mike, to go backwards, but I just noticed with the dog fund, I guess, and if you allow me to go back 1 second, Bill, if not, I understand.
no, go ahead.
Mike, why are we recommending it from the FinCom reserve when I see almost 93,000 in the dog fund?
Because we haven't appropriated that money out of the dog fund. If we had had a special town meeting and we were able to revote capital, we then could have taken it out of the dog fund.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, if I can do this right. I'll share my screen and go over the fixed and shared expenses first. Okay. And so the recommendation under fixed and shared first is under maturing debt 711, $1,761,774 for maturing principal on long-term debt, and repayment of temporary loans, $128,862. So a total maturing debt of $1,890,636.
Okay, and we have to take a vote on each one of these?
Yes.
Okay. So I will take well, is there any further discussion?
I do have one quick statement, Bill. I know in one of our meetings, Mike, we had asked for a schedule of the debts, and to my knowledge, we haven't received anything yet.
Okay. I'll get that to you. I thought Catherine had sent that. I remember seeing it, so I'll double check with her and send it again.
Okay.
So, Mike, to speak, so what does the last column mean? 1.5 million,
That's just because you haven't made any recommendation yet, so it's just showing
gotcha.
the difference.
All right, I'm trying to figure that out, like, wow, we went down less, okay.
And Mike, what are temporary loans?
Temporary loans are, say, you have a project that you're gonna borrow on, you go out and do short-term borrowing until the project's done, and you know what the full cost of the project is gonna be. And then once the project is complete, you go back out and do the long-term debt.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but what is it that we're anticipating 149,000 that we haven't had in the past?
Right now, I know that, I don't know whether that's left from the window. We haven't gone back out and done the final borrowings in the window project yet.
Excuse me for a second. This is James Puello, the town accountant. The repayment of, hi, how are you? The repayment of temporary loans are loans that we decided to do on a shorter period of time. So rather than doing 20 years or 10, 15 years, those are typically only like 4 or 5 years. I believe that's for the library HVAC. And if you give me a few seconds, I can look up what the other minor amounts make that up, make up the total. But in reality, those are not temporary notes that we're planning on bonding in the future. Those are loans that we're repaying in a 5-year period rather than 15 or 20 like the regular bonds.
James Aaron Smith, might that include things like police cars? We pay those
No.
off? No?
No, the police cars we typically buy from the capital improvement account, and we buy it cash. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that part of that is the HVAC at the library, and some of the school projects, computers and stuff that they bought in the past, technology equipment, maybe part of that. But I'll have to look at the schedule. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Steve, if it was the library HVAC, that would explain why it wasn't there a few years ago.
Yep, no, absolutely.
So it's a good guess.
And I'd like to have the detail, but I guess if not, I'll make a motion.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, James.
While he's looking at that, can we go on to the next one?
Yep.
Actually, I just found it.
Of course.
Yeah, the short-term debt is for the Camp Peter 3. That was issued on October of 19, and it's going to be paid off in, I believe, in 5 equal payments of $54,000. And the LED street lighting that was just done this past December, we borrowed $373,000, and it's being paid $74,000 a year. So the 74 and the 54 make up the 128. I was wrong. The HVAC from the library is not part of it.
So James, I'm sorry, what was that 54 for?
Camp Eater 3, I believe that would have been the purchase of it.
Okay. Okay.
And those are going to mature. Camp Peter 3 will be paid off in October 2023. So we have three more payments. And the LED street light, this is the first payment, so it will be done on 2025. So we have 5 payments left.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve,
Or to recommend.
to recommend $1,761,774 for maturing principal and long-term debt, account 590 in Department 711.
You might have read that wrong.
Do we need to do them separately or the lump sum of $1,890,000?
So we do it separately.
Okay, I didn't. Go ahead. If you're doing it separate, that's fine.
I was under the impression we had to do each account. If not,
Did you say 1,761,774?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Well, given this is a Zoom meeting, if we can do them together,
Right.
then it would go faster.
Yeah.
So, Mike, can we do them together?
Yeah, it's one category, maturing debt, 711. I would say 1,893,636 would be fine.
Okay, it'll go a lot faster that way.
Good. So I recommend Department 711 maturing debt, $1,890,636.
Second,
A second,
Aaron Smith, second.
get a motion, and then a second. So, any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy? We lost Amy.
Sorry, I
Steve?
took myself off mute fast enough.
Aye.
Amy's a yes, Steve's
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes. Yes.
Tom,
Abstain.
Walter,
Yes.
Bonnie,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Back to you, Mike.
All right, the next category is interest, $750, and this is interest on long-term debt, $535,290. Interest on notes, $34,262, or total $569,552.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve,
I make a motion, recommend interest account 750 in the amount of $569,552.
Aaron Smith, I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on interest 750? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Rick,
Yes.
Peter,
Aye.
Tom,
Abstain.
Walter,
Aye.
Bonnie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, employee benefits, Mike.
Employee benefits, 910. Personal service, $3,125,329. That's Bristol County Retirement. Other personal services, $7,763,285. That is the health insurance. And charges and expenditures, $525,000. That is for, and I always get Medicare and Medicaid mixed up, so that is for the retiree health insurance costs.
Okay,
And the total, $11,413,614.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve,
make a motion to recommend account 910 employee benefits in the amount of $11,413,614.
This is Aaron Smith, I second.
okay, motion and a second for employee benefits 910 in the amount of $11,413,614. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Rick,
Yes.
Peter,
Aye.
Tom,
Abstain.
Walter,
Aye.
Bonnie,
Yes.
and I'm an aye. Unemployment compensation 911,
1,000 is the recommendation.
going up 5,000 from last year.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve,
I recommend for account 911 unemployment compensation in the amount of $80,000.
do I have a second?
Aaron Smith, to second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm just gonna throw out there, given all that's going on and all the unknowns, which might be the answer right there, why 5,000? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not keep it 75?
We had been at 80,000 for a number of years and we had cut it back. We don't know what it's gonna be, obviously.
Yep.
So just trying to get some cushion in there in anticipation that there could be issues.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Miscellaneous 940.
Got two categories here. One is the fuel expense, 126,000, and charges and expenditures, 706,310. That is charges and expenditure are all our insurances other than health insurance. And the fuel, we went down slightly. One of the things with the state of the economy is that we now are paying, lower gasoline prices, and we don't know what the state of that'll be, whether that'll carry through the year or not, but hopefully we should be okay.
And the other insurances have gone up. It's a significant number.
Generally, they go up, between 5 and 6%. We have 3 long-term workers' comp claims that have affected our workers' comp insurance. As the mod right now is not good because of that. So that's driving some of the cost.
Hey, Mike,
Yep.
Walter here, I have a quick question.
Walter.
I'm just curious, why don't we have a better place for insurances besides miscellaneous?
James, I don't know if you want to answer that. That's just always it's always been under that category.
The state of Massachusetts has a uniform code of accounts and departments, and insurance is falls under the 940 category for some reason. Just like police is 210, fire is 220, and accounting is 135, and so on. That's the way it is across the state of Massachusetts.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Do I hear anybody for a motion?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend for miscellaneous account 940, $832,310.
Second.
Motion and a second for miscellaneous 940 in the amount of $832,310. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Mike, do we have to do the bottom line of 14 million and some change? Or we don't need to?
No, we are all set.
Okay.
Am I still sharing my screen? Can you see the next category?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is miscellaneous town offices and board expenses. So the first is the finance committee. I'm recommending $1,710.
Mike,
Yep.
are we gonna see that in both places now? Because you have it in the other part of the budget too. All these 4 departments are gonna be in 2 places. On your other budget run that you gave us, 131 is in there too.
Right, that's what this is. This is just all these. I'm going through 131, 177, 294 and 692 right now.
I'm gonna guess it had to do just with how it had to be cut up to be sent out.
Right, just to break it down into different categories.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So that, the first one's Finance Committee 131.
Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend the account 131, charges and expenditures in the amount of $1,710.
I second.
Have a motion and a second for Finance Committee, account 131 in the amount of $1,710. Any further discussion?
Yeah, how come it went up? We're getting a raise?
Inflation,
Just based on expended in FY19 was $2,028, so probably more meetings that you're having, or you're talking more.
We can ask poor Sonia how it feels to do all those minutes.
So is that what that covers? The note taker or stenographer or?
yes. So if I have a motion and a second and no further questions, go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Mike, a quick question, related to FinCom expenses. Have we advertised for, Sonia's replacement at some point?
We have, and we've been asking around too, so hopefully we have someone when you go into the next fiscal year. You're here to-
Convince-
Sonia's here to the end of this year, right?
Right, till the end of June, and
Yeah.
maybe we can convince her to stay.
I'll stay if you do the grading for my kids.
They all get A's, there you go.
If Brockton did not all get A's, it's not normal
Well,
for that.
okay, back to the bell curve then, okay. Okay, Mike, thank you. Zoning board?
Zoning board, $300.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend account 177, charges and expenditures in the amount of $300.
Second.
Motion and a second for zoning board of appeals, account 177 in the amount of $300. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter? Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, tree warden?
One, $2,000.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, if that's all right.
Yep.
Mike, I know this is a fairly new amount, and I don't see what we've expended so far this year. And what does this cover?
Right now, the position's vacant. The tree warden we had left Norton. And so I've interviewed for tree warden to begin in July now. And so we haven't had a tree warden this year.
Is it required?
It is required.
It is, okay.
It is required.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend an account 294 under personnel services, $2,000.
Second?
Got a motion and a second for tree warden, 294, personnel services, $2,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Memorial and Vets Day.
Recommending $2,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Steve?
Mike, I know they requested 3, and I don't remember what they thought they were gonna do with double that. Have you talked to them on the amount, cutting it back $1,000 from their request?
I did talk to Estelle. I don't have, I've got it. So, one of the things that I know Estelle is concerned about, and Tom would probably be better to talk on this than me, was that they have to hire a band for a Memorial Day parade or something like that. And I just, with the way we had to cut some things, we increased it $500. But it's not up to the 3,000 that Estelle was looking for.
Yeah, that was basically the increase. It was because they were gonna have to hire a band. But since we didn't have a Memorial Day parade this year, I don't know how much they've spent. And I'm not sure about a Veterans Day parade. We'll have to wait till November.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Steve?
I recommend account 692, other charges and expenditures in the amount of $2,000.
Second?
A motion and a second for Memorial and Vets Day, account 692 in the amount of 2,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman? Speak.
Peter?
So, a Zoom recommendation for people on mute. All you have to do is push and hold your space bar to unmute when you elect it. You go back from mute.
Really?
Instead of trying to thing to,
That's if you're on your computer, correct?
correct.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to, oh, here we are. So you cannot see that. Can you see that?
No, I don't see any.
No, Mike.
Oh,
I see you.
Mike, there was one item left on that last spreadsheet. that we
I'm
didn't
sorry.
get to. Something about, it was about $67,000.
You looked at the grand total, Aaron?
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, that's total.
That's the grand total.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the page. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. The next is budget, the reserve fund, 132. And my recommendation is 150,000. Same as this year.
Mr. Chairman?
Steve?
I recommend Department 132, the reserve fund in the amount of $150,000.
Second?
Have a motion and a second for the reserve fund in the amount of $150,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Only works when you actually have your window enabled.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Was that a yes? Peter?
Yeah.
Press
Yes.
the space.
Yeah.
It's disabled. Able to hear the color.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
The next is legal services, 151, and I'm recommending 90,000.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
recommend Department 151, legal services, $90,000.
Second?
Got a motion and a second for legal services, count 151 in the amount of 90,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick? Is anybody else hearing that? Because I'm not.
I didn't hear anything.
You're very muffled.
He's got his thumb up.
We're gonna sum up.
You try again, Rick? Okay, that'll work. Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And the next is 158, tax title foreclosure, $45,000.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
that's pretty steady from the prior.
Same as last year, yeah.
Right. Steve?
I recommend Department 158, tax title foreclosure, the amount of $45,000.
Second?
Motion and a second for tax title foreclosure, in the amount of 45,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Rick? I might need a thumb. I see a positive thumb. I don't know if that needs to be, seconded by somebody. Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Next, elections, 162. And I was thinking when I was looking at this way back when Lucia was able to actually be at your meeting and present this, she explained that there, obviously next year, there's a state election, there's a presidential election, so that's why the cost is up so much next year.
Is this a cost pre all the COVID type precautions one has to take now, or are those gonna be above and beyond what she's budgeted?
This is pre-COVID, so any expenses that we have between now and December associated with COVID, we'll be applying under the CARES Act for reimbursement. So for the next election, Lucia has already purchased some items, protective items for her workers, and that'll all be coming out of, we'll be applying for reimbursement under the CARES Fund.
Is that in addition to the 1,700,000, or is that part of?
That's part of that. That will come out of that.
Okay.
In Mike units, this is one that we have to vote the personnel services line and the charges and expenditures independently, right?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend Department 162, account 510, in the amount of $630.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for election personnel services in the amount of $630. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Yes.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick? Rick, I may need a thumb.
Tap your hand so you make some noise and you'll come on the screen.
Rick, you're on mute now. That's why we can't hear you clapping or anything.
Let me see.
Oh, you're back on mute. But I
Blame
think
Peter.
All right, we'll move on. Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, next is, 176 Southeast.
Hold on, Mike, we have to, so, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I recommend an account, Department 162, election and registration for account 570, charges and expenditures, $54,850.
Did you say that number
Steve, I
again?
think that's 64.
All right, $64,850. Thanks, Aaron.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for elections 162, charges and expenditures 570 in the amount of $64,850. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We probably can't do it, but maybe we can for the purposes of this if we have a bunch of these. Can we discuss both and combine the votes by saying 510, X, 570, Y in one roll call, or does it have to be two separate?
Well, for the next two, it's really just expenses, so
Okay,
you could do both of them at the same time.
okay.
And then, so the first 176 is Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development. They had a slight increase to $3,654. It's well worth what we pay to them for the service that they give us. And So what they charge us is 19 cents per resident. So it's a pretty good deal. And the next item, town report 195, is for the printing of the town report, $2,000.
All right, does anybody have any questions on either 176 Southeastern Regional for 3,654, or for the town report 195, 2,000?
Yeah, Mike, could you just give us a quick explanation on what the Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development does for us, what that Norton customer's getting for their 19 cents?
Sure. They've been great in helping us with all the planning that's been necessary for our bike trail and to get that on the tip. They've been helping us with our green communities preparation and application. They helped just recently did the zoning maps over for the planning board. Those are just like some of the things I can think of off the top of my head. They helped out. They did when we were looking to see what we wanted to do with our town center. They ran that whole held, and they're also working with us on a complete update of our master plan. So
it sounds like there are a lot of things that we get guidance from them on that we would otherwise have to figure out for ourselves, and that's pretty short money for that.
We do, yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend in Department 176, account 560, $3,654, and for Department 195, town report printing, $2,000.
Second, if we can do those together.
You can just vote twice in your call. Say a yes and a yes. 2 votes.
All right. So I have a
Second
motion.
and a second.
I have a motion and a second for account 176 in the amount of $3,654 and account 195 in the amount of $2,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. And yes, yes, no, no, abstain, abstain, or any combination thereof. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes and yes.
Steve?
Aye and aye.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Aye and aye.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Aye, yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm a yes and yes. Mike?
Okay. So the next, there's 4 more budgets. Where did they go? There we go. Postage, all departments. Do you want me to go through all 4 of these at once?
Yeah.
These are all expenses too. Postage for all departments, 199 is 37,500. Sailor weights and measures, 244. That's $2,200. This is a great deal. We're required to have a sailor weights and measures go around to any place, gas stations or any place that sells anything by a measure, to check to make sure all the devices are working properly. And instead of having our own, we pay the state and they have someone that comes out and does that for us. Streetlights, 40,000, and you can see that that's a reduction of 60,000 from last year, because we're going into our first year, all LED streetlights. So this will cover the electricity costs plus maintenance that might be required on any of the lights. And then the sanitary landfill, 13,000, that is for all the monitoring and reports that we're required to do on the cap landfill. And as the health agent said when he came to your meeting way back when, we're constantly working, hoping that some of this monitoring will be relaxed, as some of the testing has shown that there's less and less gases under the cap. And so hopefully someday this will be less.
Okay. Any questions from anybody?
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend Department 199, account 570, charges and expenditures for $37,500. I recommend Department 244, account 570, charges and expenditures in the amount of $2,200. I recommend Department 425, account 570, in the amount of $40,000. And I recommend Department 438, account 570, charges and expenditures in the amount of $13,000.
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go for the vote. Aaron?
I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm getting on the crazy train. Aye.
That was 4.
Amy?
Yes.
Steve?
Aye.
That was, 5.
I think it was 4, wasn't it? I just stuttered.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes from all 4.
I like that way. Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes for all 4 of them. Mike?
Hey, I'm always afraid I'm gonna lose you when I start, I think they're hiding underneath the, all right, the next, which I can't find on my screen, the balance of general government accounts. Let me just try it. There we go. They were hiding.
While you're looking at that, Mike, it leads me to a request I have. That when we get emails with attachments, can they be renamed other than first floor scanner _ something?
Sure.
It has like a little more of a title of what's in it.
Okay.
That's just a request.
And can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Small enough, yes.
Can,
I'm gonna ask, do you know what attachment that might have been in?
that this is just,
Yeah.
you You probably got an attachment. Did you get an attachment of all the budgets?
Yeah, we got individual accounts.
Yeah,
Individual.
I've just got them all on one sheet to, as we go through. So the first budget, is 122 selectmen. And there's, personnel services, $60,569. And charges and expenditures, I'm recommending $3,160.
And this is account or Department 122?
122.
Because I'm looking at the schedule that we got.
Yes.
We got the Friday as 60,000, it's a different amount.
60,000.
No, I'm reading it wrong. That's my apology. I'm reading it wrong. And Mike, one question, I don't want to assume anything, but I think when we were going through this, we had agreed that there was no new positions or no increased hours in the budget. Is that correct?
Correct. When we go through, anyone that asked for increased hours, I wasn't able to do that. And we did eliminate one part-time position that was unfilled.
Okay. And I know we had a conversation last year when we were having one of our joint meetings, and I thought there was a recommendation or an idea about seeing where we might be able to combine some jobs that might be duplicates, and I could think of, payroll jobs, benefit jobs. Did that ever happen? And did we determine it's not something that can be done? And it benefit from economies of scales, if you will?
Yeah, really, we couldn't. The only, even with planning and conservation, they're so busy right now, those two departments, that to try and have one person do both planning and conservation would have been too difficult.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman?
Steve?
I recommend in Department 122, account 510, personnel services, $60,569. And for account 570, charges and expenditures, $3,160. For a total, $63,729.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. For the Department 122 Selectmen budget, overall budget of $63,729, broken up between 510 and 570. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Just normally we have to vote these separately, so I think we all know the drill now. Aaron?
Aye.
And?
No, aye and aye.
Thank you. Amy?
Yes to both.
Thank you. Steve?
Aye to both?
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Aye to both.
Tom?
Yes to both.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, next one, Mike.
123 town manager, personnel services, $262,133. And charges and expenditures, $14,750.
What was the contracted services that got taken out?
That was, there was a request to, hire someone to help write grants. And unfortunately, with the crunch, we just don't have that right now.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have a question. This is Bonnie. What is the contracted percentage increase for each of the two salaries?
I believe it's 3%, because I know mine's 3%.
So if my calculation is right, this is 3.5, the increase from one FY 20 to 21.
Okay. And those are contractual.
So 3.5 is contractual or?
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Steve?
I recommend Department 123, Personnel Services Account 510, the amount of $26,133.
Back up, Steve.
Yep,
You missed a digit.
262,133, 260.
Thank you.
Okay, that's just what I said. And Department 123, Account 570, Charges and Expenditures, $14,750 for a total in the department of $276,883.
I second and second.
Okay, got a motion and a second for Department 123 Town Manager, $262,133,510 and $14,750 for 570. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to both.
Steve?
Aye to both.
Rick?
Yes, yes.
Peter?
Both.
Tom?
Aye to both.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Next one, Mike?
Next is Town Accountant, 135. Under Personal Services, $216,183. Purchase of Services, $26,000. And Charges and Expenditures, $3,760. And the Purchase of Services is the audit, I believe, correct, James?
Yes, it is.
Yep, there's a slight increase this year for them.
Okay. Any further discussions?
Mr. Chairman,
Entertain a motion then? Steve?
I recommend for Department 135 for Personnel Services Account 510, $216,183. For Account 520, Purchase of Services, $26,000. And for Account 570, Charges and Expenditures for $3,760. For a total in Department 135 of $245,943.
And I second all three motions.
Got a motion and a second for Department 135 Accounting Personnel services, purchase services, and charges and expenditures, which aggregate to $245,943. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Aaron?
Aye and aye. And aye.
Amy?
Yes to all.
Steve?
At all three.
Rick?
Yes, yes, yes.
Peter?
Yes to all three.
Tom?
Yes to all three.
Walter?
Yes, yes, yes.
Bonnie?
Yes, yes, yes.
And I'm yes to all three. Okay, Mike, next.
141 assessors, and, unfortunately, this is one department that we had talked about earlier. She did want to increase the hours of one of her staff people, but I did explain to her, we just can't do it right now. So I'm recommending under personnel services, $162,206, and charges and expenditures, $34,578.
And so the personnel services is just contractual and nothing else?
Correct. It would be, to increase the hours was gonna be another almost $9,000. So we just can't do it right now.
Bill, can I ask you a question? It's Bonnie.
Bonnie?
Yes, this personnel services line seems to go up by a little over 6%. Can you, since it's not broken out, can you account for that, Mike?
Sure.
It's 6.1.
So, between when the budget was done, last year, mid-year, remember, we did increase the hours of one of the staff people. She went from 20 hours to 28 hours. And then one of the clerical staff, the assistant assessor, moved up a step. So that's what would be driving that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But Mike, how come the department request column doesn't really show a
She,
difference?
yeah, she did. She just showed it as a separate, if she could get it, this is what it would be, but she didn't put it in the request.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend for Department 141, Account 510, Personnel Services, in the amount of $162,206. And for Account 570, Charges and Expenditures of $34,578, for a total in Department 141 of $196,784.
I second both.
Have a motion and a second for Department 141 Assessors, Personnel Services of $162,206, charges and expenditures of $34,578. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Aye and aye.
Oh, Aaron? Amy?
Yes to both.
Steve?
Aye to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, Mike?
Next is treasurer collector, 147. And personnel services, I'm recommending $228,275. And charges and expenditures, $53,594. For a total budget of $281,869.
Bill,
Bonnie?
it's money. I have the same question about the increase of 5%.
And in this department, they have 3 people that receive steps.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend for Department 147, account 510, personnel services, $228,275. And for account 570, charges and expenditures of $53,594, for a total in Department 147 of $281,869.
I second both.
Motion and a second for Department 147 Treasurer Collector in the aggregate of $281,869. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
I didn't hear that, but that could have been my earpiece.
Aye and aye.
Thank you. Amy?
Yes to both.
Steve?
To both.
Rick?
Yes, and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Abstain.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, next.
Mr. Chairman? Chairman?
Yes.
So, while our budgets only can go up 2.5% approximately, it seems like the salaries are going up 5 to 6. I haven't seen the rest of the budget, but how do we sustain that?
We were able to do it. Our budget is only going up 2.2. So,
The question was how.
looking at everything, expenses and doing what we can with keeping expenses down.
It's an interesting question, Peter. I see what you're saying, right? If this is, contractual things that involve steps and we're going to be in the 5 to 6% range for employees in perpetuity, then how does it work long term? I mean, that is how I read the question, Peter.
Pretty much, yeah. When we see the contracts that, 2, 3%. We know that 3% isn't really 3. There's going to be some realistic percentage that really comes out to with all the steps. And it seems like it's more on the 5 to 6 this year. Not trying to, downplay anybody's effort on keeping costs down, but it just seemed like the numbers were there.
Mr. Chairman?
And Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I agree with the same thing. It's just, I'm afraid if we continue to have these contracts that are going up with steps and everything at 5%, how long can we continue to cut services before we start going at those contracts? And unfortunately, it's going to probably mean positions instead of renegotiated contracts. So I'm in the same boat. How do we sustain this long term?
Mr. Chairman?
Walter?
I'm curious about new employees. Is that cushioning us any as far as replacing longtime employees with new people? So what I'd be interested in seeing is what's the trend of personal services overall over the past few years? Is our personal services really going up, or are we getting benefits or reductions from new employees coming on board?
coming on at lower steps and then.
Mr. Chairman?
Can we get that information? I mean, can we get a report of just the personal services
Yeah.
line for all these items?
Sure.
Isn't that kind of what Steve was asking for earlier?
Yes.
Good, could be interesting.
And then we need to derail our progress, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a valid
Great
question.
Great question.
Yeah.
All right, data processing, 155. Salary, $29,155 under personal services. And then charges and expenditures, $403,534. And a lot of data processing, a lot of the increases, items that used to be handled through the communications budget really now, because Charlene was over there before, are now being handled under this budget. And so they've moved over, such as radio repair maintenance, equipment repair maintenance, and software licenses for the fire department and the police department. And some new items in here are the software for permitting for all the inspections departments. And now added in will be the selectmen, the town clerk, conservation and planning. And the imagery that was approved for the assessors of $7,700. That's new this year.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I have two questions. One is, Mike, who oversees this department now? I know this.
This department's overseen by Charlene Fisk.
Okay, and she's the part-time wage or no, it's an
She's the
additional?
part-time
Okay.
IT director, yeah.
And then I think when we were going through this budget, Walter, I thought it was you that had asked questions regarding one of the schedules that was in this budget about, I think it was installation. And I thought there was a follow-up question. I could be wrong. I just don't remember what it was.
No, I think it may have been Aaron. And next week, we'll be doing the communications budget. And I think the question was, what is the savings by regionalizing the communications? If I'm right, I think that's what that was. So we'll be presenting that next week when we do the communications budget.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that one. That is one question that's still outstanding, but I thought it was Walter who had a question with the original budget on the scheduling. There was a line item in there. I thought it was software installation.
Steve,
What's that?
I think that was me. I was wanting to know why they were charging us $10,000 to install 4 PCs and 3 tablets.
And I don't know, did you ever get that answer, Amy?
No.
It says it costs to quote unquote install a PC.
Right, because I'll bring my 11-year-old over and he'll have you guys up and running. And I'll lend him to you for free to get him out of my house.
He'll do it for 9,000, right?
So Mike, when they bring the budget for the cost saving and regionalization, can we have this number available on what kind of went from that other budget over to
Yes.
this one? So don't lose fact that, yeah, it's not in that other budget anymore, but it transferred over to here.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'd like to
Walter?
I'd like to expand that just to make sure we get all the changes, since that budget item absorbed a whole bunch of new things. I'd like to see the entire breakdown of the changes for this year.
Okay, because, yeah, Mike, this is kind of in the same theme that when this was presented to us, seems like a lifetime ago, you know, I was having difficulty trying to figure out, gee, I thought we were saving, you know, X number of dollars, yet the dollars seem to be going into other budgets, so where is the savings? I know I was having that problem.
Yeah, we'll show that next week.
And this, can I ask one more question, Bill? It may actually be a question for James, I don't know. When we talk about software for inspections and the fire department and the radio for NPD and all these different pieces that are rolling up under this particular budget, is there a reason that we don't split them out by the department that's actually utilizing that? Is that something that like the state says we have to lump it all together in here, or is that our own internal accounting practice?
Hi, I believe that most towns have it this way. They have, when you have a data processing department, any cost associated with software for the town goes through that department, through the data processing department. But I've also seen it in other towns where, you know, they would charge fire or police department directly for it. I like it this way better because it keeps it all in one place. And in this case, Charlene would be in charge of managing it, rather than having to have the police chief, the fire chief, building inspector, town clerk, every single department head trying to figure out how much the cost of the software should be apportioned to those departments. But I mean, it is possible to do it the way you're suggesting, where we could include a higher number on the accounting department, treasurers, every single department, so that they can pay a portion of the software.
I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting anything. I don't need to imagine the way we're doing our accounting. I just wanted to know if there was a reason. So thank you, that definitely answers my question. I really appreciate it.
All right.
But as long as we can see the breakdown, that would be adequate, I think.
Right.
As far as I know, the professional service line, there is a breakdown for that. I don't know if you guys have it in front of you or not, but that includes all of those software that Mike talked about earlier. The accounting software, treasurer collectors, e-permitting, and so on.
I'm thinking in perhaps the original handout, hard copy, again, seems like a lifetime ago. There was a lot more information behind, like each department. So I think we'd all have to go digging for that stuff.
I can email you those 5 sheets that came with the this budget, so you can see that again.
Okay. So are we comfortable in voting it, or are we putting this one on hold?
I think we put this on hold, honestly. If we have these questions, I'd rather go that route.
All right.
Okay, next is 161 Town Clerk. And my recommendation for the Town Clerk, under Personnel Services, $113,661, and charges and expenditures, $10,719.
Mr. Chairman?
Bonnie?
So even when there's a reduction, I'd also like to know what accounts for the reduction in 6.7% in the salary line.
What results in the reduction?
Right, so it looks like this one's about 6.7%.
There was a part-time position that wasn't filled, And so I've eliminated that position.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I recommend Department 161, account 510, personnel services, $113,661. And account 570, charges and expenditures of $10,719, for a total in Department 161 of $124,380.
Second both.
A motion and a second for Department 161 Town Clerk, personnel services in the amount of $113,661, and charges and expenditures of $10,719. Any further discussion?
Yes, this is Pete.
Peter.
Mike, in the details of the data you gave us, there's a line item 570-5342. It's called telephone communications. It was blank and now it's $444 now. So what in telephone and communications if it's not?
What we did, where people were working remotely, and also with Lucia where she was working remotely, and then also when she's working the elections and she has to communicate back and forth with people, she never had a phone to do that with, and she was using her own cell phone, so, you know, she was subject to people getting her personal cell phone number rather than a town number. So that's a new cell phone.
Oh,
At $37 a month? Any further discussions? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to all.
Steve?
Aye on both.
Rick?
Yes, yes.
Peter?
yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm a yes to both. All right, next one.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
I believe we still would have a quorum, but I do have to jump off the call for a little while.
Okay.
Is that all right?
As far as I know, it's allowed.
Okay, sorry about it.
Someone will have to take your spot.
I apologize, it just, I might be coming back, but I got to go, sorry.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, Aaron loves the sound of his own voice.
All right, Mike.
Next is 171, conservation. And under personnel services, I'm recommending $123,094. And under expenditures, $17,986.
Mr. Chairman?
And salary, which is yellowed in my copy at 119,000. What's the difference from the
It
request?
was just actually a miscalculation on salaries. One of the staff people moves up a step mid-year, and I think the budget was prepared as if they were on that step at the beginning of the year.
Okay, was that Bonnie?
It was, yes. It looks like it goes up by 9.9%.
I would have to look at the percentages. I don't know how, I don't think it goes up that much, but I'll have to look at that. Contractually, I mean, both positions are in the union, so everything is contractual.
No, it's 9%.
I think, well, one of the things that's added in there is longevity. That a person did not have that probably originally.
No, it's a separate line.
Oh, yeah, no, that's it, yeah. But I know the salaries don't go up that much, but I'd have to.
So Mike, it looks like there's a $3,000 incentive pay now?
Right.
Last year too. What's incentive pay?
That is to the agent to also be the stormwater management coordinator and handle all applications that come in on stormwater management. And I think the other thing that Melissa, one of the clerks, her hours increased mid-year also last year. So that might be throwing off the percentages for you. She went last year to full-time, and she was only part-time until the middle of the year.
So Mike, we're looking at the sheet, the 108,014 for last year's budget was a budget, but we probably blew the budget if we're using that as our number that they're gonna spend, because someone halfway through would spend more than that, or was that included that they were gonna go halfway through half the year?
We came back halfway through the year and increased her hours. I think we did it in the fall, at the October town meeting last year. There were 2 conservation and one other position that we increased the hours.
So I guess my question is the 108, does that not include those increased hours, and that's why it seems to jump higher for us?
Right, yep.
Okay.
So, because if I'm looking at expenditures through 12/31 of only 45,000, you know, if I double that, that brings me to 90. So I would think the 108 included the additional money.
Because she was at 18 hours and she went to 37.5 hours.
Okay. I don't think the intent is to nickel and dime, you know, particular salaries or anything, but to have it make some sort of logical sense to us kind of helps the process, and this one, I'm not sure we're all there, but I'll entertain a motion or not a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go for it.
Are we gonna get an updated copy of the budget book that we normally get with all these updated numbers and details that we see behind them? Or is this all we're going to see, this high-level information?
No, you should have gotten all that when we first started. when all the budgets were presented originally. If anyone needs it again, let me know.
Okay.
Change, like I'm looking at conservation is an $8,640 change.
Which column?
Right, where it says change team manager FY21 from FY20.
Right, the only change would be my recommendation, but all the backup you should have. But let me know if you need any of it again.
I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I can find it. But I mean, I have the one that's sent out recently, but it doesn't have the back information. It just says the roll up. So it doesn't have the pages where we normally see the individual salaries. And I agree, I don't think you want to nickel and dime on salaries. I don't think we're going to do that. I guess we're just reinforcing our point that things are going up more than 3%. No got the budget.
James Puello here. Can I add something to the salaries conversation here?
Yeah.
She was budgeted originally part-time for fiscal year 20, and then in October, at the October town meeting, she was made full-time. So part of the year, the first 3 months, she was working part-time. That's why you only see 45,000 through December 31st. That's from July through December. So she must have gotten paid full-time maybe in November and December. And so she's gonna make more, that department is gonna make, it's gonna spend more than 45,000 the second half of fiscal year 20, which ends next month. That would explain why the budget is 108, because we only asked at the October town meeting for what was needed to finish out the year. I hope that clears it a little bit. I'm not sure if it did or it made it worse.
No, so this is Pete, so the 108, we have to add to that the half of a person for November, December, January, March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah, the 108 would have been probably 114 or 15 if it had been voted at the beginning of the fiscal year in July. And if she had been full-time the whole year, it would have been higher than 108.
Okay. Okay. So, if anyone's comfortable with that and wants to make a motion,
You want me to make the motions? I can.
okay?
Let me look at my sheet now. So we're in conservation, right?
Yes.
The page? Okay, Mr. Chairman, I recommend Department 171-510 in the amount of $123,094, and Department 171-570 charges and expenditures in the amount of $17,986.
And just give us the total, Peter.
And with a total of $141,080.
A second to both.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for Department 171 Conservation, Personnel Services in the amount of $123,094, charges and expenditures in the amount of $17,986 for a grand total of $141,080. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, Mike, next.
Next is 175 Planning Board, under Personnel Services, 119,642, and under Charges and Expenditures, $5,025.
Does any have a blue line in front of their screen on this one?
No.
Yeah.
It's not just you, Pete, you're okay.
Okay.
Okay, any,
Chairman,
Bonnie?
so there's a 7.5% increase in this salary for this department.
So, I guess moving forward, and really this should be a Steve thing, but in future budget seasons, I'm thinking we need to have an explanation for anything that goes above and beyond what we understand contractual to be when the numbers don't line up.
That would be
That's
really
just me.
helpful.
So again, Mike, this is contractual, salary increases, steps, if they're hidden and all that kind of happy stuff.
It is, and also it's an adjustment, a salary adjustment for the director who came in at a low salary and has been doing a great job. And it was, mid-year last year, just a way to not have to go out and look for a new planning director, to keep a good qualified planning director. So, that's part of the increase.
Okay, and that was likely mid-year also?
Yes.
Kind of like a Christmas bonus.
No.
Just for my clarification, how does that get approved? If that money is not in the budget mid-year, how does that work?
It would be it had to have been in the budget because he can't spend over his budget. So, there had to be enough money in his salary account to cover that. Otherwise it couldn't happen.
So we over budget salary line item? That doesn't make sense.
This wouldn't have been an October adjustment?
I would have to look and see that again.
Yeah, to Amy's point, we generally don't knowingly approve a salary line item with a cushion. We're usually right on top of it or taking some out. So. If people want to make a motion, otherwise we move to the next one.
Mr. Chairman,
Peter,
I make a motion that we recommend 175,510 in the amount of 119,642. That's personal services. Plan 175,570 charges and expenses, and $5,025 for a total of $124,667.
Second both.
motion and a second for planning board, account 175, personnel services in the amount of 119,642, charges and expenditures in the amount of 5,025, the grand total of 124,667 for the department. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Walter?
So maybe I missed it, but does an explanation of that extra money in the personal services account exist?
The explanation of there was a bump in salary mid-year exists. The explanation as to how that got approved does not. At the moment.
Department heads, there's a salary range for department heads. So their salary can be increased within the range. And also in their salary account for that department, one of the staff people was out for a portion of the year. So that's why there was enough money to fund that position.
So the raise was taken via someone's absence? Is that kind of how that happened?
Right, because budgets are approved salary and expense, so there was money in the salary line item to cover that.
Right.
So what's the approval process for that? I mean, that seems a little fortuitous, and seems like, you know, that kind of change should be run up some food chain to and eventually to us.
No, you don't approve salary increases. That's all contractual between me and the employees.
Okay, you're absolutely right. I misspoke on that.
That's okay.
But so those mid-year approvals are at your discretion based on availability of money that was allocated for possibly other purposes?
Right, in the CINA A contract, which is department heads, there's a provision in the contract that based on performance, department heads can receive up to a 3% raise.
Mid-year?
Yes.
Wow.
So the maximum, so their salaries can go up 2%, and then they can get up to 3% more based on exceptional performance.
So what would be in private industry a bonus is somehow built into the contract.
I think, Mr. Chairman, it's not really a bonus if it carries forward into subsequent years, right? It's not a one-time thing. If that's going to become,
well,
part of,
true.
it's a raise.
The raise.
I'm just trying to understand. I don't think anyone disputes, Mike, that like you have power to raises and whatnot with the employees. That's certainly not at question here. The question is that eventually that increase in salary impacts the following year's budget, and that's what we're seeing here.
Right.
I think what Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is the money's there to give the person now because you needed to give it to them for this year's budget anyways, because they were probably gonna leave, because they weren't paying enough.
Right, our department heads are well underpaid compared to local communities. And unfortunately, you know, we try not to train someone to be here for 3 years and then leave and go to another town because they're gonna get paid $10,000 more than they're gonna get paid here, you know, so it's part of the.
But this was only possible because of the sickness absence in the department, which freed up salary, correct?
Correct.
So had that not occurred, how would you then,
So if that hadn't occurred, you either have to get more money out of special or reserve fund transfer.
okay. Okay.
You would have still put that extra salary in for this year's budget.
Right.
If they didn't get it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Say, this year, you would have given that person a raise as of the beginning of this, if you didn't have the money available.
Right.
What you saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, it seems a little concerning to me that, how that was done. You know, we go to all this trouble to find out what the raises are at the beginning of the year. Does this happen frequently and we just missed it? Or is this a one-off?
I wouldn't say it happens frequently, but it has happened to try and keep somebody from leaving in the past.
Okay, and I'm not saying that you're not correct, that we are underpaying our employees. I think we can all agree to some extent on that. This just seems like a potential budget buster down the road if we're not careful. But I'll leave it at that comment.
Do you want me to remove my recommendation and we discuss it more?
Well, I think it's been recommended and seconded, so we can vote. And if we need to reconsider at a future meeting, do it that way.
Sounds good to me.
All right? Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
No and yes.
No to 510, yes to 570.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, Mike, next.
Next is municipal building expenses, and I'm recommending $207,750.
So this is Department 192?
Correct. Yep.
So given the time, I'm going to lose Tom soon. But you know, when I look at municipal building, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, what we're trying to do long term. And in a minute or two or less, is there any update on the building committee and where they're at?
Right now, I think everything is pretty much on hold. The building committee hasn't met in a while. I think it's more not knowing about town meeting and what we're gonna take up at town meeting, and maybe it's something that waits until the fall. So I'll have to check with them and see when they're gonna meet again, but
So
right now, I think it's just really waiting to see when it's gonna actually be taken up at a town meeting.
I believe the last meeting was March 2nd. Bill.
So they've been off for, you know, a couple months, but I would think their process is not that cut and dry, and it's somewhat lengthy that I'm just surprised by that answer, but okay. So, 207,750 is the budget request.
Mike, this is Pete. So some of the stuff you trimmed, it looks like it's just, you trimmed some money off to save money on the budget, and it looks like it's based on what we spent last year, just to kind of, that's where you can cut some money out. Is that what it comes down to?
Correct. Based on past history and with the electricity money we're saving through the credits we get from the landfill.
Ms. Jim?
Peter?
I recommend Department 192, charges and expenditures, account 570, the amount of $207,750.
I second.
Motion and a second for Department 192 municipal building, charges and expenditures in the amount of $207,750. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy? Was that a yes?
Yes, that was a yes, sorry.
Sorry. Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, next.
Next is 241 Inspections Department. And my recommendation is $221,211. But I gotta add the 750 in. Personal services, $221,961. And charges and expenditures, $21,350.
Mr. Chairman,
Is that Bonnie?
it sure is. I haven't calculated it yet, but that's a pretty big jump. On the salary line.
I think
lost
it's
you
just,
there.
so on the salary, my recommendation of the 221 as opposed to the 200 and almost 43,000 that the department requested. Couple mistakes in calculations of the salaries previously, and also the part-time inspectors are paid per inspection, and just anticipating that with the economy the way it is, there could be less inspections next year. So that's some of the reduction there.
Looks like it's 12.8%, 12.9.
9 is what I got.
I think what you're saying there is last year, the part-time building inspector was not there all year. And so, and then you have the staff people both getting step increases plus their 2%.
I remember the last meeting that we had thinking that the detail behind these numbers is astronomically high as well. So I would like to see the detail for this adjusted amount of expected hours and, you know, that sheet that shows the employees and the rates and whatever before we vote on this one. I just think that an almost 13% increase warrants a little bit of a second.
Okay. Then I would assume we're tabling this until Monday?
I'm content to table this one.
Me too, I say. We need more detail on the backside.
Me too.
All right, my next one.
292, animal control. Under personal services, $67,436. And charges and expenditures, $13,628.
And not that it's the big dollars, but the part-time wages last year to this year. Is that hours? Is that people? Is that
Hours. The animal control officer needs the part-timer to have more hours so he can actually use his vacation rather than he's too dedicated.
okay? Thank you,
Mr. Chairman,
Peter.
I recommend 92 animal control personnel services 510 in the amount of $67,436, and charges and expenditures account 570 and $13,628, for a total of $81,064.
Second to both.
Got a motion and a second for 292 animal control. Personal services, $67,436. Charges and expenditures of $13,628 for a grand total of $81,064. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go to the vote. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, next one, Mike.
Next is 420 highway. And under personnel services, $824,750. Under charges and expenditures, $102,050. Under surface treatment, $8,000. And 581 repairs to private ways, $1,000. For a total budget of $935,800.
I'm gonna assume there's gonna be a question on the wages.
Sure, Mike, I'll call all contractual.
It is.
But am I reading that right? 623 to 726? So that he hired a couple of people?
Last year, I believe money came from the Hicks Fund to hire 2 more cemetery workers in October. I think last year was the year that happened, so those are now on his payroll.
Yeah, that's not a separate line item?
No, that was a one-time.
Right, from what I'm seeing in my material, I have wages going from 623 to 726 roughly. cemetery wages going from 149 to 73.
Right, those cemetery workers that are in the salary of permanent positions now. That's why he's moved a position from the wages cemetery. They're now, right,
To,
under salary wages
Okay.
permanent position.
It looks like in sum total, at the end of the day, we're going from 797,000 to 824,000 in personnel services in the highway department overall. Right?
Yep.
Which
Correct.
is, and that's all contractual.
It is.
Great.
Peter?
Peter, that was your cue.
Mr. Chairman,
Peter?
I recommend Highway 420 Personnel Services 510 in the amount of $824,750. In charges and expenditures 570, the amount of $102,050. In surface treatment, 580, $8,000. In repairs to private ways, 581, $1,000. For a total of $935,800.
Second to all.
Have a motion and a second for Highway Department, 420. Personnel Services, 824,750. Charges and expenditures, 102,050. Surface treatment of 8,000, repairs to private ways of 1,000, the grand total of 935,800. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Bonnie.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just curious about the repairs to private ways, Mike.
Yeah.
I know it's only $1,000, but if it's a private way, where does the $1,000 come in?
He has to appropriate, request appropriate $1,000, and you can see that, I don't even think he used any of it last year. Because if there's a road with emergency repairs and it's a private way, we have to show that money was actually appropriated to do work on private ways. And it's really only for public safety reasons. If there was something, large pothole or something that needed to be filled in a private way so an ambulance could get down the street safely, a threat to public safety, then he would have to go down and fix that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Go to the vote. Aaron?
Aye to all.
Amy?
Yes to all, sorry.
Yes,
Rick?
yes.
Peter?
Yes to all four.
Tom?
Yes to all four.
Walter?
Yes to all four.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes to all four. Okay, next, Mike?
Next is snow removal, 80,000.
Hey, Mike, how were we low on that? Low on that this year? How'd we do?
We were a little over, but not much. I'll get that for you, but we were not much over.
Nice. Mr. Chairman, I recommend snow removal $80,000.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for Department 423, snow and ice. Charges and expenditures of 80,000. Any further discussion? And maybe we should just throw out there that this is one of those accounts where, you basically budget at one number, and as the bills come in, you can fill in the gap. So therefore, instead of trying to budget to what you think your snowfall and plowing and whatnot needs will be, once you increase it, you have to stay to that increase. We elect to keep to 80,000 pretty much every year. So,
And I think if we ever raise it more than 80, we can never bring it back down.
right, once you raise it, you can't, that's where you're at. So that's pretty much why people will see 80,000, I don't know, for the past 4, 5, 6 years. But anyways, we have a motion and a second, 80,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go for the vote. Aaron?
Aye?
Amy?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Okay, next.
Next is Board of Health, 510, and under Personnel Services, $162,300, and under Charges and Expenditures, $10,025.
Mike, is this all contractual increases in the salary?
It is,
Thank you.
for the 3 staff people.
Mr. Chairman,
Peter?
for Board of Health, 510, Personal Services, 510, I recommend, hold on, 162,375. Charges and expenditures, 10,025,
Second.
for a total of 172,400. Sorry, the little temporary mute thing's in front of the numbers on me.
Sorry, I jumped the gun there. Second to both.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Board of Health, 510. Personnel Services, 510 of 162,375. Charges and expenditures, 570 in the amount of 10,025, for a grand total of 172,400. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. Aaron?
Aye?
Amy?
Yes to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes to both?
Tom?
Yes to both.
Walter?
Yes to both.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, next, Mike?
Public health nurse, and the recommend, under public health nurse, under services, $36,139, and under charges and expenditures, $10,250.
Mr. Chairman,
Mike, is that
if I may?
35,000?
$35,139, I'm sorry, under personnel services, and charges and expenditures, $10,250.
Okay, was that, yeah?
It's Bonnie. Excuse me. I'm just wondering how many more departments we're reviewing tonight, just because it wasn't on the agenda.
So after this, Council on Aging, Veterans Agent, and Recreation,
Okay, thank you.
unless you want to wait.
gonna suggest adding.
And I
No,
thought
I
the
don't need to
agenda
do it. I
had.
just like to know what to expect, that's all.
But the agenda did have review of budget, so didn't detail which ones.
Right,
But,
that's
okay.
the only reason I was asking.
Bonnie was just
Okay.
wondering if there were enough of these left that it was be worth pouring another drink.
We still have
That's
4
why you
minutes.
can't see me, Aaron.
Mr. Chair,
Peter,
I recommend for the public health nurse 522, personal services 510, amount of 35,139, charges and expenditures 570, the amount of 10,250, for a total of 45,389.
Second,
motion and a second for public health nurse, account 522. Personnel services, 35,139, charges and expenditures, 10,250, for grand total of 45,389. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go to the vote. Aaron?
aye.
Amy?
Aye and aye.
Yes to both.
Yes and yes.
Peter? Tom?
Yes to both.
Walter?
Yes to both.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. All right, Mike?
Next budget is 21, Council on Aging. Under Personnel Services, $88,650. And under Charges and Expenditures, $13,200.
Mr. Chairman,
Peter?
Council on Aging 541, I recommend personnel services 510, the amount of 88,650, and charges and expenditures, account 570, 13,200, for a total of $101,850.
Second to both.
Motion and a second for account 541, Council on Aging, personnel services, 88,650, charges and expenditures, 13,200, for grand total of 101,850. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Go to the vote. Alan?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes to both.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Mike next.
543. And under Personnel Services, $82,933. And under Charges and Expenditures, $3,007. And under Veterans Benefits, $130,000.
A grand total of 316,683.
Correct.
Why are we going down in pay?
Because of the, a lower salary for a new, part-time clerk coming in at a lower rate.
Right? Mr. Chairman?
Peter?
Veterans Agent, 543, I recommend for Personnel Services 510, $82,933. Charges and Expenditures account 570, $3,750. And Veterans Benefits 579, the amount of $230,000. For a total of $316,683.
Second all.
Motion and a second. For account 543 veterans, 510, 82,933, 570, 3,750, and 579, 230,000, for a grand total of 316,683. Mike?
Yeah.
For veterans benefits, which goes up and down, we're keeping that steady, because I thought we were servicing more and more. I thought I heard that.
Estelle handle on it all the time, and some people come on, some people come off. It all depends on their financial situations. If she needed a higher amount, she would definitely let me know.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go to the vote. Aaron?
Aye to all.
Amy?
Yes to all.
Rick?
Yes, yes, yes.
Peter?
Yes to all three.
Tom?
Yes to all three.
Walter?
Yes to all three.
Bonnie?
Yes, yes, and yes.
And I'm yes to all three. Mike?
630 recreation under personnel services, $25,016, and under charges and expenditures, $17,550.
I'm assuming the what falls under this is like the pool and that kind of stuff?
It is definitely the pool, and then in the year, some of the other events that a lot of them this year unfortunately couldn't happen. The Snowflake Social, Egg Hunt, all those events, and then any the recreation director thinks about. She's been in this pandemic. She's been coming up with all ideas to bring different activities. So it's been good.
Mr. Chairman?
Peter?
Mike, so how come they have like a $2,600 line item in telephone communication?
They've got I got to plug in. I'm going to lose you. Hold on.
Right. Peter, if I remember correctly, I think that had something to do with them needing a 911 phone at the pool.
Yeah.
That was a direct pickup.
Probably security cameras too, with that kind of communication.
At least that was a contributing factor. Was that it was.
Was there also a cell phone for
Yes.
recreation coordinator? Because, as I recall, there was no cell phone before, so she was probably using her personal before that.
Correct. I remember that.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that the other thing I recall on the charges and expenditures, that we made that jump from 13,278 to 18,000 last year because there were improvements that were a one-time thing that needed to be made at Everett Leonard. And we were only dropping that number by 450.
That jibes with my recollection as well.
I guess I'm wondering why we're not scaling that back more in line with the 13,278 that it had been previously, or something closer. Or if we need that money for something else, that's fine. I just kind of want to know what we're using it for.
she does have work that has to be done out at the pool, so that's why she still has repair maintenance of buildings at the $1,000.
Yeah, but I guess I'm looking at also the electricity. You know, it was 2,000 and then 2018 and 2,900 and then 4,250, now 3,500. Why is electricity like so much? Why is it going up and down on electricity?
Well, this budget, you know, she receives a lot from rentals of the pool and fees that she collects. The budget, there's a lot more that gets paid out of some of those revenues also, that everything isn't covered in this budget.
Right, but wasn't that also the case back in 2018 and 2019 when the amount was much lower? We were still paying lifeguards and all those things out of the rental fees and stuff from the pool at that time.
And we didn't have all the solar benefits that we do today.
Well, the solar credits only are placed on the largest accounts that we have, so everyone doesn't get solar credits. And you can see that through December, they had spent $1,515 on electricity.
Well, then that would encompass July, August, and rentals in September.
Mhm.
And the pool opens typically in May. I don't know if it's probably not open yet.
No.
But so that would cover the May and June, or part of May, the very, very end of May and June, for both rentals and the pool. So it just seems out of balance with how much is spent between July and December and what would need to be spent on electricity between January and June.
Is it possible they're running one of those, or one or a couple, window AC units? That spikes that in the summer?
I mean, you look at those numbers, you look at 2,000 and then 2,942, that's a 50% jump, right? 2 to 3,000. And then you're talking up to 4,250, another 3 to 4,250 is another close to 50% jump again in last year's. And then this year it's going to go down by some, I don't know. Maybe I'm nickel and diming this because it's nuts, because it's obvious. But it's not a lot of money, but it just seems funny how it's just kind of going. That line item just seemed weird to me for electricity usage.
For me, at the end of the day, I'm quite confident that Parks and Rec has can make good use of $17,550.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm going to nickel and dime it.
And I can say that she did have the building inspector actually go out recently to inspect around the building to make sure that there isn't something draining the electricity. So I haven't heard back from him to see if he figured that out, but she has had him up there to check on that.
So, given the current situation in the world, is the pool actually going to open?
Right now, Sharon is planning, for an opening in June, so we'll see. If everything keeps going according to the governor's phases, it would be open in June.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Peter?
Recreation 630. I recommend personnel services 510, the amount of 25,116. Charges and expenditures 570, the amount of 17,550. For a total of $42,666.
Second to both.
A motion and a second for account 630 recreation, 510 personnel services in the amount of $25,116. Charges and expenditures in the amount of $17,550 for the grand total of $42,666. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go to the vote. Aaron?
Aye and aye.
Amy?
Yes to both.
Rick?
Yes and yes.
Peter?
Yes and yes.
Tom?
Yes and yes.
Walter?
Yes and yes.
Bonnie?
Yes and yes.
And I'm yes to both. Okay, anything else, Mike?
Nope, that's it. And are you good with scheduling the public hearing on the 15th of June?
Why not?
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for spending the time. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
It is the nice hour of 9:11 in the evening. I will go in either direction of, we can review minutes that were sent out earlier today, or we can call it an evening.
Evening.
I have not had the opportunity to review today's minutes at this time.
Okay.
So what are the dates for those?
That sways the decision either way.
Hold on a second. May 18th, May 11th, and April 28th. All fresh in your minds.
Yeah, somehow I missed those too, so I haven't reviewed them.
All right, so we will all, I guess we will all read them, and be raring to go next Monday, even though Monday will be somewhat lively with the schools, police, and fire.
If we can all agree to just read them so that we can make quick work of that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Works for me.
I assume, the schools are coming Monday to give us, their budget presentation as amended under the expected, money availability, which is short of what they originally, had budgeted by at least $1.2 million, maybe. And I think there may be some discussion of the food program. And then police and fire, likely discussing A, their budget, B, the cut to overtime to balance the overall budget.
Bill, if I may ask a question? This is Sonia.
Yep.
Were there any questions sent to the police and fire? Because I saw the email from the school department, which I will include in the minutes.
No. 'Cause,
Okay.
I mean, generally what is gonna happen is that the budget is funded to contractual salaries. I'm sure there has been some cuts in, 570 line items. And I believe what got cut, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but we'll just say a couple 100,000 out of each in the overtime. And I know I brought up last meeting, to start last meeting, I believe, was basically, you know, we normally go through this every May, a little late this year, where we cut those things out at this time to put them back in October, given the budget projections. I'm not sure that's gonna be feasible in October, and what was Plan B? So, we'll see.
Okay, so I will have, the questions from the school, the answers and the questions from the school department ready. I know those were very important, but, in case anybody wants them, I will include those in the minutes, and I'll just include your comments in the minutes per questions.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know, because it's gonna be long minutes.
Well, then we may have to save the reading of those minutes for like the 15th,
Okay.
because no one goes to that meeting. Anyways.
Hey, Bill?
Bonnie?
Yes. Do we just have 3 more meetings left on the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th?
First is...
We're gonna plan on some Wednesdays as well?
No, I think that may be it.
Okay, thanks. It would just be good to know if Mike has any plans beyond that.
Well, I don't know if, I guess the fly in the ointment is, I'm still unclear as to what the selectmen have decided on the warrant, but I don't, it doesn't appear that we're really reviewing much of it. So I'm assuming at least half of it disappeared.
Right, I attended the same meeting. It wasn't clear to me either.
Yeah.
So I think that we will need to know as well.
Right, so if they come back, you know, and they're all gung-ho, you know, if the meeting is successful to be outdoors on the, I guess it doesn't matter at this point, if they're assuming it's gonna be successful on the 27th outdoors, they may decide, well, let's go for the whole shooting match. I don't know.
Right.
But we haven't discussed half, 2/3 of those items that were on the original warrant.
Bill, have they given you any kind of, any heads up on when they'll make that decision? And then my other one is, are we gonna have capital this year?
I think that would be one of the things presented at the town meeting, and did we vote that already? I thought we did.
I don't recall that, but
I know it was presented.
honestly, I don't even remember.
I'm not sure if we voted it, but you know, from what I recall from those selectmen meetings, that budgetary items would be making the town meeting, and just about anything else would not. But that is still not fully decided.
From what I understand, they're gonna discuss what will or will not be on the warrant tomorrow night.
Okay. And I'm not even gonna ask for you know, I should do a poll, but I don't wanna do it today. On if it's inside, you know, who wants to attend and who doesn't. But we'll leave that for another night.
Mr. Chairman,
Walter?
just FYI, everybody, there was a meeting today of several department heads, the police chief, the fire chief, Mike, all the prospective moderators met today to discuss the where we could hold the meetings. So just following up on your point. And they'll be putting together proposals for holding the meeting inside and outside. And the Board of Selectmen naturally will be seeing those and voting on those pretty soon. So there is some work going on right now to settle that question.
Yeah, I know the selectmen meeting of last week, I think, where they got it to the 27th, which is a Saturday, which will allow them the opportunity to kind of do it either way. I think it was even up in the air at that point, though. Can you have it to be determined based on the weather? I'm not sure what the answer to that was.
Yeah, and that was certainly a topic of discussion. There's advantages and disadvantages to both solutions, and there was no consensus about which way to go because both have problems. So they'll be talking about all that.
How exciting.
Yeah. And Bill's got a couple of opinions on that too, so he'll have some comments.
Our outgoing moderator?
Yes, very involved.
Yes. Oh yeah, as he should be. He's been doing it a long time, and he can offer a very, very good opinion.
Absolutely.
Walter, can I ask a question, Bill, Walter, about that meeting?
Yeah.
Were there any selectmen at that meeting?
No.
Interesting.
No, so it seemed like it was being organized by the Board of Health chairman. I don't know what his position is, but it sounded like he took the task to document the pros and cons and the risks and concerns about each possibility, and we'll be producing a report for the Board of Selectmen on that.
Well, that makes sense to me, but it doesn't make
Was
sense
there
to
a
me
date?
why selectmen wouldn't be there. So the question is whether or not they were invited, I guess.
Yeah, they were not. I can confirm that.
And is information to be presented tomorrow or in a week or two? Is there a date?
No, I didn't hear a date. I mean, I'm sure everybody understands the time constraints, so I suspect it's forthcoming shortly.
Okay.
But no idea for sure. So anyway, when more happens, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah. Was that a question?
No, I was just saying thank you.
Oh, I will add, this was an in-person meeting at the high school, by the way.
Masks and 6 feet or no?
Yeah, we did a pretty good job at it, but the point was to actually walk the facility and assess the issues personally. So that was the justification for the in-person meeting.
Well, did they walk just the interior of the high school, or did they walk a proposed exterior location also?
We also walked the football fields. So yes, we did. We did personally inspect the outside opportunities.
Okay. Just as an FYI, I don't know if anybody caught it in maybe the Sunday Globe. I forget.
Is that a newspaper?
Fake news. But anyways, it indicated that Walpole had voted to have their town meeting in their football stadium. I found that interesting.
Yeah, Bill mentioned a couple specific towns that had gone both ways, so there were towns that did in fact hold it indoors and some that did hold it outdoors, so.
Yeah.
There's options out there.
Yeah. As was discussed last week, it's really a comfort level of, those attending, whether it be the members of the various boards or the public at large. And,
right.
Everybody has their opinion, indoor, outdoor.
Yeah. Some have a couple opinions.
But anyways, and I don't want to go into specifics, which makes life difficult for Sonia taking minutes, but we do have a little side endeavor that Mike Fiore was spearheading, and I've gotten really no response as to how we can make this happen. So if people would like to think of that and give some ideas, that would be appreciated, if you all know what I'm talking about.
I do, Mr. Chairman. I think that this is something we can handle in person, once this is all settled down. And if the timing is, slightly belated, that's not necessarily the end of the world.
In person, we'll have
Once we're able to reconvene and handle this with a person's touch.
You can do it in person, it has to be 6 feet apart.
We'll toss it at him.
Just saying.
We could think of picking it up on the fall meeting. Might be a more normal meeting, maybe.
Well, again, for those who may not be here come next season and all that, I don't want to necessarily push it off to whenever. So, much like the meeting itself, indoor, outdoor, little flexibility, we might want to have a little flexibility as to this endeavor also. Just saying. So, I don't have anything else at 9:29. I don't know if Tom is still awake.
Yes, I am.
It's your pleasure, Tom.
Since we've run the gauntlet, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. We'll do this the hard way. Aaron?
Aye.
Amy? Steve, since you're back.
Aye.
Rick? Yes. Peter?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Yes. Is that drink finished?
I have not been drinking. I just want to state that for the record. Apparently it's necessary.
And I'm a yes. So with that, we will reconvene on Monday evening. So everybody have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
You too.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.